Hi, everyone. It's Laurie Bolig, Director of Membership Engagement for College Sports Communicators. It's election day, and that's a great segue into this best practices video where I show you the effective and efficient tool I use to help make my selections for the Academic All-America teams. Voting for the first Academic All-America Team of the Year begins next week with men's and women's soccer. We likely have a lot of new members who have never voted on these teams. It can be an overwhelming responsibility and one you want to get right. This video is not about walking you through all the steps to get you to the actual ballot. I'm going to assume we provide good enough instructions to make sure you can access your ballot next week. This video is about using the Excel spreadsheet as a tool to help you compare and contrast student athletes as you make your selection. So let's jump right into it. I've got some notes and I'm going to share my screen. Here we go. There are three ways to look at a ballot, to look at all the student athletes on the ballot. There is a gallery view, which is within the program itself. There is a PDF view, which allows you to download PDFs of every student athlete who is a candidate in that particular sport or position. But this is about the Excel spreadsheet. That's the third way to look at student athletes. When you hit the download button for the Excel, it's going to give you, in this case, all of the NCAA Division I women's forward candidates from last year. And this spreadsheet downloaded looks like a mess, right? So I always save it as an Excel, and then I format it and make sure that I can see all of the columns. And again, it's very intimidating, but the good news is a lot of these columns you don't even need. Like, who cares about this URL? So I go through and I delete all of the columns that are not important to me. I don't care about the nomination ID. We already know this is women's soccer. We know it's for the forward position, it's Division I, and we don't care about the district anymore. So I delete all these unnecessary columns. And then I look at what I have left. I've got the student athlete name. I've got their hometown, the school they go to, what class they're in, what year they are, athletic eligibility wise, their grade point average, whether they have a graduate GPA, it'll be entered here as well, their major. And then we get into the statistics for each of them that you have entered as members. These are forwards. We don't really have a lot of defensive or goalkeeping stats, so not important. I'm going to delete those. And then we come to probably the most important part of the ballot, and that is the accomplishments that you enter. Remember those 100-character columns that you enter in information. Those are here. I make sure that I can read everything in them, and this is kind of where I start on my ballot. The great thing about using Excel as a way to compare and contrast is that it's sortable and searchable. So if you, depending on what is important to you in your selection, you can search for words like championship, All-American, conference player of the year, or just player of the year. And those will be identified on the spreadsheet, and if that's important to you, that's something that you could highlight. And the searching or sorting goes for the same thing. If it's important to you, in this case, maybe how many points the forwards have, you can sort by points from highest to lowest. You can certainly sort by GPA, highest to lowest. But I will stress that this is an award that takes into consideration both performance on the field, court, wherever, athletically, and in the classroom. So sorting by GPA and selecting all 4.0 people is good luck. Division III women's volleyball, they're all 4.0s. Not a great strategy. So you really want to take into consideration their GPA, their performance on the field, and their accomplishments in and around those two things. I look through this, I sort, I have my own philosophies for what I think is important. I certainly can't tell you how to vote, but what this does for me, spreadsheet wise, is it allows me to go through and highlight the people that I'm going to put on my ballot. I usually do a read through of all the accomplishments and blind, don't even look at who they are, where they go to school, nothing, just highlight the accomplishments or highlight through the accomplishments, my first pass at the ballot. Sometimes I'll end up, let's say we have to pick 6 forwards, I'll end up with 12 people. Then I'll go back and I'll look at stats and I'll chop some off that way, or I'll look at GPA, and I might delete some people that way. But I winnow my ballot down by going kind of backwards, starting with accomplishments, going back to their athletic accomplishments, and then their academic accomplishments. I highlight everybody that I'm going to move on to the ballot, go back to my ballot, click add to the ballot for each one. Also, while I'm looking through this spreadsheet, if I find someone who stands out way head and shoulders above the others, I will put them in a different color. And I will know that that is, that's not a good color. I will know that that person from this particular position in this sport is somebody that I should consider for Academic All-America of the Year, which is your final selection on your ballot for every sport, and you pick your top 3. So I make sure if there's somebody who is a standout, that's going to be on my ballot for the forwards, that I mark them in a different color, and then I come back and I consider them for the Academic All-America of the Year award. Again, things that may or may not be important to you, a hometown, you could get rid of that column. To be really honest, I look at it once. If there's anybody from the high school that my kids went to, I probably vote for them. I'm likely to know their parents. I know you're going to vote for your student athletes, so there's nothing wrong with that. But we do want to pick the overall best team. So we can't do that for every single contest. But this may not be important to you. So again, that's something you can get rid of. Majors. Majors are very important to some people. For me, I look at it like, I don't hold it against you that you're not a rocket science major. If you don't like rocket science, I'm okay with that. But majors could be tiebreakers, right? You could have 7 people and you could be having the darndest time trying to break that tie to just get it to 6. And you could say, gosh, what year are they? What did they major in? What's their what's their undergrad GPA? So some of these columns, I would tell you, don't get rid of them, because they may be good tiebreakers for you. So I am going to stop this share right now and share another screen. You may wonder why it's so important to vote for Academic All-America. And I'm going to tell you straight up, this is the signature program of college sports communicators. Our members have been doing this program since 1952. It's the only award of its kind in college athletics. When our staff and our board go to the NCAA convention every year, we consistently hear student athletes say that this is the most important award they received, because it didn't only take into consideration what they did as an athlete, it took into consideration what they do as a student. And quite frankly, it's another opportunity for our members to tell a compelling story about the student athletes that we help promote. So stop the share real quick. In conclusion, this year is going to be different, right? For those of you who've been around for a long time, you've voted on all district teams, and we don't have those this year. So half as much voting as in the past, right? Good news. But with the absence of district voting, that means that the national ballot includes everyone who was submitted as an all-district nomination. So the ballots are going to be considerably longer and could have significantly more people to sift through. So I encourage you to pick the method of comparing and contrasting student athletes that best works for you. For me, that has been the Excel spreadsheet from the day we started using it. It's cut my time and it's just made things so much easier. And it has resulted in me picking who I think are the most deserving student athletes from year to year. Voting is not quick and it's not easy, but it is worth it for you and for your student athletes. It's another story worth telling about their collegiate journey. And that's what we're all in the business for, right? Shout out to the more than 150 CSC members who coordinate this program every year. It's a massive undertaking, but one that's extremely important to our members and their student athletes. Thank you. Let us know how we can help you and have a great week.